I'm Charlotte Christian, the founder of Summit, a divorce and custody law firm. Today we have with us financial planner Norman Bryant, and I want to talk a little bit about the importance of beneficiaries and life insurance.
It is vitally important, and I've seen in my practice over 30 years, a beneficiary on a life insurance contract supersedes a divorce decree. So whatever and whoever shows as the beneficiary on that life insurance contract is the individual that receives the proceeds.
So let's talk a little bit about that. So a judge orders that one party maintain life insurance for the other party. Is that generally during the time that they would owe either alimony or child support to the other party?
It's absolutely during that time, but it doesn't necessarily exclude any others. But those pieces are vitally important because it's an obligation of the court and of the individual who is paying alimony and child support. So many times the court awards that other spouse, so to speak.
How important is it to just avoid unintended legal problems with the way that is set up?
Vitally important. What I've seen in many cases, for example, I had a case recently where a husband and wife were married, they divorced. It was a short time after the divorce, the husband died. The beneficiary was the spouse. Well, obviously, she's an ex-spouse at this point, and because it wasn't listed exactly as ex-spouse, now the proceeds are tied up in probate, going through a process to determine is she legally entitled to the benefits. And so making sure those beneficiaries are correct and set up properly with the exact title is vitally important.
So let's talk about that. So if you're married to me, we'll play that out, and the divorce decree between us says that you have to keep a life insurance policy with my being the beneficiary. And your policy currently says your wife, and 2 months from now, you haven't changed that, and it still says your wife and your wife's name. You're saying that if you passed away, I would have trouble then going in and having that policy awarded to me?
Absolutely. At that point, because the insurance company cannot determine that individual's status, now they have to go through the legal process and probate, and it can take quite a bit of time. So I work with my clients to make sure their documents are reviewed on an annual basis, making sure these beneficiaries and even the ownership of policies are set up correctly. And I recommend to the client that at least once a year we review that. So for example, in our scenario, I'm required to provide some insurance. Well, if I'm the owner, I can change the beneficiary anytime I get ready. The owner has the right to do that. And so I can't, as a financial planner, I can't even talk to the ex-spouse if in my case, I'm the owner. So vitally important. And so in a lot of cases, I recommend that the spouse that is receiving the alimony and child support, I recommend that they become the owner of the policy. So those things can't be changed, and they make sure that they stay intact and in place for the long term.
What we see at our firm is that this is one of the most important pieces that we make sure that we get right, either during mediation or in the proposed order that goes to the court. And if the court doesn't lay it out to protect our client, we ask that the court enter an order to protect our client in the long run. Is this one of the things that you see that should really be considered before a final order gets issued?
Again, vital as it relates to that, and making sure it's done before everything is final and the order is in place. Because once that happens, at least not in my situation or the folks that I've worked with, I haven't been able to see it to be modified from that perspective.
Definitely would be difficult to modify. I want to talk to you just a little bit about the importance of having somebody like yourself or a financial planner available during a mediation or available before trial to build out scenarios that protect a client. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I think it's vitally important when you go into mediation to take, I know you've got your legal representation. It's vital, candidly. And again, that's why it's so important to work with someone that you trust and that understands the business and that has been doing it and understands the tax implications. But working with that individual through the process, even through sitting through mediation meetings, to be able to talk about implications of different things that you're trying or not to either agree to or not. And so as you go through that, whether you're doing it in the middle of the mediation itself, you at least have an opportunity to go back and review and to take a look at the different projections, different tax ramifications, and to be able to plan, for your long term versus making, again, as we talked about in our earlier segment, emotional decisions. And when they're emotional, they can really put you in a financial hole.
So if you are the beneficiary of a life insurance policy, make sure that you have somebody who knows what he or she is doing that can help you get planned. Make sure that your lawyer has somebody that can be a part of your mediation before you agree on a final settlement, or make sure that your lawyer has the knowledge to be able to help with a final order to make sure that you're protected and there's not just some little legality that's missed because you did not make sure that all the T's were crossed and the I's were dotted.